Wow. Okay, so I'm going to speak in English because I have a lot of friends around the world who are cheering for me because I've told them how scary I find this TED Talk. So, um, first of all, I have to say that I'm extremely flattered that there are so many fans of IDEA sitting in the audience today because I was a little worried because of the football fans. And most of the people I know, they were really divided about the game or my idea worth sharing. So anyway, I'm really, really honored and I'm really flattered to be here. I have been you for the last, I would say, 7 years. And I'm really happy for this opportunity to share my ideas. So I am really obsessed with networks. Having lived in many different countries and worked in international relations and building bridges between cultures, I am a network evangelist. So I tried to reflect a little bit on how come I have this obsession about networks and connecting people and where does it come from? And I started thinking about my childhood and I realized that ever since I can remember, I've been deeply embedded in social networks. Our house in Sweden, my parents are immigrants from Pakistan, was never empty. We always had guests. We had guests every day. Those guests were sometimes strangers, people that my parents found on the street. Could be missionaries, they could be people selling things, they could be sometimes I think borderline addicts and drunkards. But my parents, who were immigrants and came from another culture to Sweden, had this, I believe, deep desire to feel connected to the space that they were in and to be part of something bigger. And they had no problem with reaching out to people. I found that difficult sometimes, of course, because our house was never empty and I was a little shy. And then when I was a teenager, I was a little angry that, there was no privacy in our home. But I realized that those experiences of always having people in our house and strangers and people that were from different places and cultures and backgrounds really had a major impact on how I think about relationships, how I think about encounters, how I think about connecting with other people, and how ultimately I think about how we should work together as a humanity. I learned that some of the ideas, the great ideas, because we're here to talk about ideas, emerge in silos and they emerge, at a desk at an odd hour with, maybe an insight. I do believe that the ideas that really, really matter and the ideas that can really change the world, I believe they emerge in collaboration and in encountering with people, in dialogue, and when real insights come about. So I also think that encounters are the first step to building empathy. But also in finding solutions to how we can live together. So what I'm really concerned about, or what I'm surprised about or confounded with, is that there are so many people in leadership positions around the world and also in Sweden and also here tonight that really don't, or even ordinary citizens, I think, and especially now, that don't harness this idea of finding ideas in encounters, in social connections, in networks. In fact, we see a time that we are living in living in the Middle East, North Africa, but being from Europe and Sweden, I can see that we are becoming increasingly suspicious of the other. Maybe not here tonight, because we all belong to some sort of common network. But there's a lot of suspicion out there. And this is something that I think is extremely worrying. And I think that no one's going to solve it. We have to do it. And I think now we really don't have an excuse, because if you look back at that time when maybe the place to meet was the living room or the kitchen. Now it's a completely different context. Since 1996, we have this amazing magic tool of the internet. And this can enable us to connect with people from parts of the world and in places and in contexts we could never connect with. And we get a glimpse into their lives, and we can try to understand those that are not like ourselves. So this so-called networked society that everyone's talking about, that has come about with the internet and with all the social media applications, has given us this unprecedented opportunity, I think, to have no excuse to connect with people who are different, and also to find ways to fight this polarization that we are witnessing, that's on the rise everywhere globally. So I was, in my work, I've been really, really privileged. I think I had the opportunity, a unique, life-changing opportunity to work with some of those people who, from the Middle East, North Africa, young generation of Arabs who collaboratively mobilized and used the power of networks to change the face of history of their nations. I'm sure most of you are aware of the Arab Spring that happened in 2010 and 2011. I think most of us felt this kind of unexpected hope and also some sort of connection all of a sudden with people that we felt maybe were not like us. However, 5 years later, where are we today? Isn't this a story of the Arab Spring? Isn't it irrelevant? I mean, all we see now is problems in the Middle East. We see that things didn't turn out the way that we expected. There is some sort of compassion fatigue. Even the journalists are leaving some of the countries because the story is no longer these hopeful, empowered people who can create better societies and futures for themselves. In fact, the story is those other people, the dark sources, who are fighting this open society, who's fighting the opportunities that the networked society is giving us: openness, collaboration, building a new future together. So these people now, some of them know them as ISIL, some of them know this as Daesh. They have taken the opportunity of the networked society, and they have really embraced this. And they're doing it really, really well. In fact, they're doing, from their perspective, a damn good job. Now, this is extremely worrying, I think. And it raises so many different questions about what we could do. I don't have the answers to these questions, obviously, none of them. But one thing that I learned working with building leadership programs, being so close to around 250 young people who were, I think, who are real drivers of change in building networks for Sweden with these people, because is that there is extreme strength in numbers. And these people, the young people that from the Middle East, North Africa that I have worked with, they're not concerned with radicalization. They're concerned with things that we're concerned with: jobs, lives, getting married, having a good life. They do feel that they can trust the media. They feel that there's no venue, there's no space for them. They feel the distrust from the West. And they are thirsting for connecting with people from Europe. And these opportunities are so important in creating understanding. So what am I trying to say here? And what can we really do about these extreme trends that we see now of polarization, of radicalization, of the majority being silent, And I would say many of us could do so much more. There is this unprecedented opportunity now to connect. So I'm an optimist, and I believe that there are still tremendous opportunities, and the tools that the internet is providing us is powerful. Yet, one thing that I learned from working internationally with building networks, with building relationships between cultures, is that really it is as simple as starting with your neighbor, or with the person next to you, or the person behind you. And we do have an extreme responsibility today to opportunity, but also responsibility to reach out. So I don't have an idea that I want to leave you with, but I want to leave you with a question as we gather here tonight in I would say one of the most open countries in the world, in one of the most open festivals of ideas and thoughts, in one of the safest places on this planet, while we know that parts of the world people are not able to even dream about something like this. I really want to leave you with some sort of reflection to think about: who is it that you include in your network? Who is that? Is the person in your living room? Who is the person at your table? Who is the person that you bring in with you when you have the opportunity? So I think this is a key question, and this is not only a question of, yeah, it would be good that we do that. I think this is a responsibility that we have as Swedes, but also as people who are so privileged. So I'd like to leave you with that idea tonight. And thank you for listening.